He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay, because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Sales in the Show podcast. I have a special guest that I've been trying to get on for quite some time. A hard man to catch, but he's so fast that he has his own jet and helicopters. He is a personal growth expert and life strategist. Gary Coxe is recognized for his life-changing programs, and his goal is to help others live an extraordinary life through lasting change. NBC alone has spent over $1 million producing his TV segments on mindset and behavior. I'm looking forward to diving into that, as well as Dr. Phil for his show, The Doctors, while he appeared on the show for 3 years. He has successfully broken through his limitations, and now individuals, athletes, CEOs, and corporations alike seek Gary out to share with them his techniques on how to peak at their highest level possible, whether it's to increase sales, your potential, or any mind blocks that limit your success. He demonstrates on how to change negative cycles of thinking to positive program conditioning. My kind of guy. I'm super excited. He's excited. He's recognized for doing in one session, guys, one session that therapists or business coaches cannot even do in an entire year. He has authored several books. His most popular bestseller is Don't Let Others Rent Space in Your Head. We're going to welcome Gary Coxe to the stage in just a moment. Excited. Okay, Gary, welcome to the Sales in the Show podcast. How are you doing today?
Dope intro, brother. I'm doing well.
Hey, we try to do everything with excellence. I'm just following your lead. So, you are so many things. I mean, like, where do we start? You know, you're a growth expert, you're a life strategist, you're a pilot. I mean, it's not just jets. You also fly helicopters. Like, I want to get started with, where did it all start? Were you a kid that was, entrepreneurial? Were your parents entrepreneurial? Where did it all start?
Yeah. My parents were entrepreneurs, so I got that entrepreneur bug. My family had been in aviation for forever, so I got that from them. And I just, from day one, I just haven't been employable. I started my first business at 11, my second at 15. Shortly after that, I was doing $100,000 a year. And I can't turn around.
So your parents were entrepreneurs and they were in aviation. You started your first business at 11. So my daughter just turned 11 this weekend. So what on earth were you doing at the age of 11? What kind of business?
Back then, it was macrame and keychains were a really big thing in my day. So I was making those and selling those. I had my little P&L ledger and everything like that. And then I got into the jewelry business when I was 15. I was able and blessed to get 2 millionaire mentors as a teenager and later a billionaire mentor. So that really formed the way I do things. And there's no question about it. Your network is your net worth, because people, we all think differently. Cultures think differently. People at certain levels think differently. And you are going to be influenced by who you are raised by. I mean, we're the sum total of everything that we've ever experienced from the day that we were born to this very moment. And all of those things program us, whether it be the culture that we were in, the religion, the books we read, the movies we saw. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But the problem I think that we have is many times as we get older, there are things still programming us, and if we're not careful, we lose track of the sight that we have the ability to say, no, this is the direction I'm going. I'm not going to let it program me here. And that's how we are able to distinguish what track to take in order to get the results that we truly desire.
Wow. So there seems to be, from the sounds of it, some sort of networking genius that you're able to connect with people, or people are attracted through some magnetic secret that you have. Like at a young age, as a teenage, 11 or 15-year-old, mentored by 2 millionaires and a billionaire mentor. Like, they don't have time. What did they see in you? How did you entice them? How did you lull them? How did you get them to mentor you?
When you say they don't have time, that's interesting, because it may seem that way, but there's this thing, giving back. I do that. There's people that I find that they can't reach out to me and say, hey, will you mentor me? Probably won't. It's just by chance. Sometimes I see somebody that I really like. I think they're ambitious. I want to help them. And somebody saw that in me. I knocked on a door one day at a business plaza. I wanted to put my jewelry store, and I was 16 at the time, maybe 17. And I started repairing jewelry at a wholesale level. So I went to this really nice plaza, and I remember the person sitting beside me in the car as we pulled up, and the person said, there's no way you can afford that. But that may be true, but I don't know. So the problem is when we buy a belief, for every belief we act on, we get a result. And if I want to become somebody that I'm not, I have to change and learn to become the person that I want to reach out to. So if I want to make this kind of money and have this kind of a lifestyle, and I'm not there now, I have to become somebody differently. And most people have a hard time with that. And that comes from reading, studying, having coaches like yourself and myself and whatnot. So I went to him and I said to him, my name is so-and-so. I have this jewelry business. He was so blown away that I was that young and that ambitious. And I remember I borrowed $2,000 from somebody. I had a check, and I didn't have a bank account to cash the check. I didn't know what to do. So he said, I'll be right back. And he took about, 2 or 3 minutes, and he comes back with a $2,000 check. He doesn't know me from a hill of beans. He comes back with a $2,000 check, and he says, let's trade checks. You sign this one over to me. Go to the bank next door where I bank, and go ahead and cash it, and then you can start paying for your rent, and let's get going. And that's how it began. But that would not have happened if I listened to that person. Listen closely to this. For those of you who are watching, taking notes, I strongly suggest you jot this down. If you're not taking notes, I strongly suggest you jot this down. The smart person believes half of what they hear. The intelligent person knows which half to believe. Let me repeat that. The smart person believes half of what they hear. The intelligent person knows which half to believe. We believe too much of what we hear, see, and read. So if I would have believed that person that says, there's no way that you can afford that, then I would have said, you're probably right. And then I would have not pulled up. That would have changed the direction of my life forever.
Oh, wow. Okay, so smart person believes half, and the intelligent person?
The smart person believes half of what they hear or read. The intelligent person knows which half to believe. In other words, use common sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what happens is if you're not careful, we're easily programmed. When you find somebody like say maybe some guru or maybe myself, you see I have books and I'm on TV. If you're not careful in your mind, you will place a higher status on me than I deserve. And then if you're not careful, you will listen to everything I say. And then if you're not careful, you'll be a sheep to the slaughter. So ultimately, what I do is I tell people, look, I'm going to give you some answers. If they don't line up with your values and beliefs, don't listen to me. And I remember one lady, I was talking to her about some business or something and considering, offering her some advice. And she said, well, I have a coach and I'll listen to everything he says. You are not a smart person, period, because you're not using common sense. I remember advice given to me by my millionaire and billionaire, and I still don't listen to some of their things. So I have to be smart enough, that I'm coming across saying that arrogantly, but I have to use enough common sense to say, okay, I don't like that. I don't agree with it, or it doesn't jive up with my values and beliefs. And if it doesn't jive up with my values and beliefs, that's why when I coach people, I find out what their values and beliefs are. I need to learn more about them, because I am not going to give you an advice to do this when I know your belief system, whether it be religious, ethical wise, whatever, is over here. Why would I encourage you to do something over here? And that's why I often serve also as an advisor, where I say, here's my 2 cents, bam, 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 bam. Now you go make the decision based on what I share with you. Take it or leave it. I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So you've been in the game, for a while, and I've seen a lot of your footage and videos, and you've been speaking for a long time on stage, and probably at a time and season where speaking and paid speaking was not as popular maybe as today. I'm not sure how the trends are. You can educate us on that, educated me on that anyways. How did you have that belief system to say that, if I keep doing this, I can make a living out of it? Because a lot of people that I know and growing up in a traditional immigrant family would be like, get a real job, become a dentist, doctor, lawyer, or banker, right? But speaking and getting paid to speak, why would people do that? So please enlighten us if you can, because you did it for, some time now.
Yeah, I probably got, I don't know, over 3,000 speaking engagements under my belt.
Wow.
The thing is if you can create a demand for what you do, you have to get out there, you have to get attention. I believe in doing something different. So one of the things I do live on stage is I reprogram somebody that has a major psychological limitation. So I'll go into an audience of 1,000, 5,000, or whatever, and I'll do a scenario where I find somebody who's like literally in the fetal position that has a massive psychological limitation. And then I bring them on stage and I reprogram them without hypnosis, showing the audience how it's done so they can apply the information. So what I've learned to do is I said, you know what, I want to be really different. Different meaning, and I'm not knocking on the speakers, but if I went on YouTube and I watched a speaker, I can listen to what they say, transcribe what they say, and I could go on stage and say the exact same thing they could. But they in turn, I don't say this arrogantly, Jay, they in turn are unable to do that with my programming process, because if you don't know how to program somebody, you can transcribe everything I say, but there is no way in that it's going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So I purposely, intentionally established myself to a point where I can do that. And I took off about, 5 years or so. So just about a year or so, I decided to get back out there. So that's why you see me like all over the place on videos and ads. And we're getting ready to negotiate some, really big deals where we'll be doing some big national events with 2,000 to 4,000 or 5,000 people. But here's the thing: a lot of people, Jay, they're just not willing to put in the time. I mean, I know you and I follow each other. You could probably tell people what time I wake up, right? I mean, I don't play around. I'm not 20 years old, but I will outrun a 20-year-old. And I do it two ways. I do it with my diet, and I do it with the mindset.
Let's talk about that for a bit, because I mean, you're definitely someone who is fit, and the mental, the physical, the spiritual, the relational that you're all working on. And I've seen some of your either concoctions or your diets, and the
concoctions.
Okay, so first of all, because some of the stuff I'm not really sure what elixirs you're making. So I'm just curious. So in order to wake up at the time that you wake up, and I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 or something, very, very early, knowing your body, how much time are you needing to sleep for you, and what time are you having to go to sleep? Because I am a person who has struggled as someone who has been because I'm a musician, and on the creative side, I used to write and compose and record. But for me, I've not really been an early bird person, but I want to be. So what kind of reprogramming here right on the spot would you recommend to me that you've done for yourself and others to help them?
Well, there's a lot of things. Number one, you said the word early bird. There's no such a thing. There's no such thing. There's no early bird, late bird.
Yeah.
And before I go there, let me have those who are watching. I do want to say something really important. It is irrelevant. Don't think for you to be successful, you have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Absolute BS. The bottom line is it has nothing to do. Nothing. Your success has nothing to do with when you wake up. It has everything to do with how much time you put in and what you're putting in that time. Bottom line. My billionaire mentor, he would get up at 8 o'clock, get started at 9 or 10 o'clock. But he'd also be getting to bed at 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Every time I'd go to his place and have dinner, he's having dinner at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. I couldn't even my brain having dinner at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. So again, that has nothing to do with it. So there's a couple things that I do. I mean, I have to stay mentally healthy and fit. I can literally go for an hour on this, so I don't want to get too deep.
I bet you could.
It gets
yeah.
But you know, there's several ways you program and you tell your body you're tired. One, there's a physical way. Sometimes when you're up so long, your eyeballs will start to burn. Right? You've had that happen before, right? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So what happens is, and here's another taker down or noter. Your brain will validate all of your beliefs, whether they are right or wrong. Let me repeat that. Your brain will validate all of your beliefs, whether they are right or wrong. So the moment you feel tired, if you're not careful, you'll validate it. That's not, you don't go and say, well, I'm not tired, I'm not tired, I'm not tired. It's more than that. Positive thinking is like spray paint on rust. It doesn't last long. It takes more than saying, I'm not tired, I'm not tired. But what happens is you're constantly doing things to validate your belief system on a regular basis. So you have to make sure that you know you're doing it. And you want to make sure that you're not validating stuff that's not working for you. But on top of all that, I drink anywhere from a minimum of 1 gallon, when I'm not traveling, a minimum of 1 gallon of water a day, maybe 2 gallons every day. I take cayenne. I make cayenne capsule peppers that I take, Celtic salt. I have a vegan diet, mostly 80% of my diet or so, 85% of my diet is vegan diet. I don't eat anytime typically after 5:30. So after that, my body has time to burn the calories. So I'm also not eating late at night. If I was eating meat, and I'm not saying you have to not eat meat, but I don't eat meat. And if I did, what happens is your body's having to work hard. If you have dinner at 9 o'clock at night, your body is working hard on your gut. And my body doesn't even go there because there's nothing there for it to sit there and working hard. So I go to bed like a snoring baby and I wake up like a racehorse.
Oh, wow. Do you use any sort of smart technology to track your zero?
No technology on that. No, my only liquid that I ingest is water.
Really? No energy drink?
No, heavens, heck, friggin' no.
Lemon in the water?
If I have it, sometimes I would do it. Yeah, I definitely would recommend that. I haven't been doing that regularly, but I have done that. Yeah.
And the Celtic salt is in where? In the water, or where do you put it in?
Well, they say you're supposed to put it under your tongue, but I go ahead and just put it in the capsule. So each week I make about 2 weeks worth of Celtic salt and cayenne pepper, along with a whole bunch of other supplements as well. 2 frozen chunks of ginger every morning. That goes into my protein shake, along with cacao seeds, along with a quarter teaspoon or a teaspoon of virgin olive oil. That's every morning.
Wow. Amazing.
So when somebody says, "Hey, I want to have that energy," you're having to change your lifestyle. So my diet is my lifestyle. So when I see people that they say, "Yeah, I'm going to lose 60 pounds. I'm changing my diet. I got to eat this and this." If you're not going to eat that for the rest of your life, it's probably not going to last long. So you're going to lose your weight, but it's going to come back. So it's for me, it's a lifestyle.
So you make these? You call them pills? How do you make? You say you make pills?
Yeah, you buy clear capsules. You can buy them online, and then I get them filled up with the cayenne pepper. I buy cayenne pepper powder, or I fill it up with the Celtic salt. I have some other crazy concoctions. I also mix inside of my olive oil. I use other root oils. I have a combination of 5 or 6 of them. I do a lot of stuff.
Man. How do you get them into the pill?
Oh, you just scoop it up. I have a little thing just pops it in there. Yeah.
Okay.
So I get high on my own supply. Cold plunging is another important thing. I strongly recommend cold plunging. So you got 1 to 2 gallons of water, cold plunging, exercising regularly, strict diet. But I perform. I keep the wheels oiled and the gears oiled, and I look at myself. I know people look at it as a temple, but yeah, that's the spiritual side of it. But I look at myself. I am the investment. And if I'm going to output, not just in business, but in a relationship and a friendship, I'm going to have to, like I was saying earlier, most people are not willing to put in the time. So if I can be so healthy, that's going to enable me to put in the time, because I'm not going to be sick like the average person. I'm not going to be tired like the average person. And when you're tired and sick, you're losing valuable momentum. Not to mention, as you probably know, I was raised in a cult, so I lost a lot of my life. I lost decades of my life in a cult.
Wow.
That's another reason I choose to wake up early, because I missed out on so much of my life. So I'm making up for it.
That's crazy. What a story. And then was it a decision of your parents or you breaking out of the cult?
I broke out of it.
Okay, you broke out. So let's transition a bit, because I actually visited Bahamas for the first time in, I think it was July of last year with my family, and
cool.
I've never been in a hotter place. Because I have a pretty I can't remember the last time I've been burned in like over 15 plus 20 years.
Yeah.
And when I was in Bahamas, I think it was July, we were on the beach. I can't remember which beach. It was a rail something beach, or I can't remember. It was a beautiful beach, but there were no locals on the beach. Let's just say that there were no locals on the streets, and we were the only foolish ones out there. And I could actually feel my back burn, and I was like, I could feel it sizzle, and I was like, okay, I think I'm getting burned right now, and my whole back got burned. Every one of us got burned.
Wow.
It is hot. It is hot in Bahamas, but gorgeous, beautiful. We went to Nassau. We went to Atlanta. I've never seen prices like that either, too. But we went to the local grocery store, or I don't know what we call it, where all the locals go for all their food. And there was like the checkout where you can they give you so much, and they fill your platters, and food is amazing there. So do you live there, or you just go there for your retreats?
I go there for my mastermind retreats.
Okay.
And it's also I got a little island that I go to as a little hideaway when I go get away and take some time to myself.
In the Bahamas or off the Bahamas?
In the Bahamas.
Okay, nice. So when you are flying, and you fly, I guess, helicopters and jets, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So part of your mastermind, maybe describe your mastermind, because I know that's one of the gifts that you put out, which is the Jet Mastermind Retreat. You fly people from Florida or wherever you meet them, and you bring them. Obviously, you can only have a select few people, but how many people are at the mastermind? Are you going back and forth to bring like a pair of people each time, or how does it work?
No, we keep it very intimate. They meet me in Central Florida. I take them in the jet, and as you mentioned, I pilot them along with one of my team members on my team will come, and we go down to Sandals Resort. Sandals has been my sponsor for over 20 years. And what we do is we just give them an incredible experience. They have an entire day. We leave early in the morning, come back late at night. We know we've done a great job on half of them are asleep because I'm up still awake flying the jet. And so they have an entire day with a very small, intimate, like-minded group of entrepreneurs of about 4 or 5 people. And you have the entire day to pick my brain about your marketing, the mindset. See, a lot of times where I work with people and help them, Jay, is the problems that we often have in business, no matter what part of the business you're at, 6 figure, 7, whatnot. Many times the problems that we have in business, the finances, and also in our personal life stem from the trauma that we've had in our past. And that's what I refer to as things that are stuck in our emotional hard drive. And if we don't know how to get things cleaned out of our emotional hard drive, you're going to often feel like you're pushing a parked car active, but active accomplishing nothing, even though you might be doing well. So part of what I do there is help people identify some of that, because how many times do we know what we need to do to get more results, but we don't do it? So if you know what you need to do to get more results, but you don't do it, like you see somebody who's, let's just use an example, somebody's overweight 100 pounds, and they're consistently overweight 100 pounds, and they say they want to lose weight, and they're not doing it. There's more to it than that. There's something deeper. I just a story example of a girl who had been sexually abused, and the moment she became sexually abused, she gained 60 pounds.
Wow!
4 months of that because she did not want to be attractive. Very beautiful girl. She did not want to be attractive anymore because she was afraid of being. She was actually kidnapped. So that was her protection. So now,
that's terrible.
But the thing is, the way you hire people, the way you fire people, the way you treat your customers, customer service before the sale, after sale, these are all things that stem from many things that happened to us in our past. And if we don't know how to clean that up, we're very limited. So ultimately, what I'm sharing with people is how to experience emotional freedom. along with financial freedom.
And that's in a day mastermind?
One full solid day, yeah. Breakfast.
I thought that was like a weekend or 3 or 4 days or a week.
It's not necessary. You don't need all that time. It's not necessary. Look, if I can take people on Dr. Phil's show that you mentioned, the doctors that have been in therapy for 10, 20, 30 years, and in one session reverse them for a lifetime, why would I need, one session a week for a year, right? It's a scam.
That's incredible. I mean, that is truly, truly a gift. I mean, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but I see it as a compliment. Like I see Tony Robbins in live, conferences where he reverses situations in real time and people are in tears. He gets the root issue.
Yeah.
You have a real gift. Not many people have that gift.
Yeah, I used to have a hard time calling it that, Jay, and I appreciate you acknowledging that because I thought I was a little egotistical. But, some people like Leon Dion has an incredible gift to sing. I mean, the average person is just not going to be able to take singing lessons and sound like her. So, yeah, this is my gift. I mean, I'll be able to, I can listen to somebody, spend a very short time with them, and I can just, in a matter of minutes or less, figure out what the situation is. And then, I've got a lot of tools in my arsenal to enable them to use specific approaches to help them get through that limitation. And I've been able to apply it to myself because, which I didn't share, not only was I, born and raised in a cult, when I was younger, after I got married, my wife and I, she had a baby and I had a baby. We had a baby together, and she tells me it wasn't mine. And then my grandfather and stepfather died of cancer. My uncle was killed in a plane crash like 10 miles from here. My father was murdered all by the time I was 21. So yeah, I know what problems are. I know what pain is. And I think a lot of people are able to relate to me, and I definitely can relate to them. I don't care what they're going through. I can relate to them.
Wow. I didn't piece all those together, but you did that so
a lot of doo-doo.
Beautifully. Yeah, a lot of doo-doo. So maybe not a good segue, but I can't think of a better segue to go from there to relationships, because you have this gift. You go to understanding where people are at, and relationships is more complex than we think sometimes. And you've been married, you've had a kid that wasn't even wasn't even yours.
Yeah.
And I see you, sharing on social media, I met this person and blah, blah, blah. So how are things going and where are things at?
In the dating world?
Yeah.
I just started ramping that up a little bit. I tell you what, I think there should be a law against filters. That's for darn sure.
Oh, are you talking like a video picture filters?
Oh my gosh, it's the crazy. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
So when you saw the person in person, it was not the same.
I won't see them in person. They will video chat me first before I ever go on.
Absolutely. But can they not put filters on video chats?
Oh, you can tell, and if they're going to do that and not take it off, I'll just wrap up the conversation right there. Thank you.
And
for business people who are listening, if you're doing that, let me tell you what's going to happen. When people meet you in person, they are going to be so distracted. I'll give you an example. You're in Toronto, right?
Toronto, Canada.
All right. So I was at an event in Toronto years ago. It's a big event. We had, 2,000 people there. There was a huge celebrity, household name. I won't mention it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm backstage, lovely soul. I got to meet, I'll just say her. I got to meet her. And I was so distracted for the entire time I spent with her because all the pictures on her books, all the media, they're so filtered and airbrushed or Photoshop. It was so distracting. We gotta learn to be ourselves. Be ourselves. So anyway, in answer to your question, it ain't fun. If you're in a relationship, I encourage you to keep dating each other, especially if you're married. It's crazy out there. There's some whack jobs.
And I think you said something that's important. I've been married for 22 years, and we've got 3 kids. And it is a choice to continue to build that relationship, to build that intimacy, and like you said, keep dating each other. And I think a lot of marriages, including my own, you lose that kind of like the honeymoon stage or that dating period where we need to continue to build and work that. It's something that I'll admit, like, I get lazy on or not paying attention.
Easy to do.
And it's really important to put that into place. So, you've been able to experience all these hardships, all these victories. One of the posts I saw was, a paid gig for $18,000 for 90 minutes of your time, and you discounted that. Like, people are looking at, like, how the heck does that happen? Like, obviously you've got decades and you got gifting, you got training, you invest a lot of money and stuff like that to learn this stuff. But the person who's watching this, they're like, is that even possible? And where do they get started? How do they follow that trajectory of, becoming, an entrepreneur to be able to demand those kinds of prices?
Well, some people are just not meant to be entrepreneurs. We just,
Yeah, I agree.
It is what it is. I mean, anybody can have a business and call themselves an entrepreneur, but will they be successful at it? Do they have that hustle grind? There's a level of hustle and grind. You have to pay your dues. It's going to be ugly. I tell people, you want to get started. Most people start with irrational optimism, right? They're irrationally optimistic. If I sell 1,000 of these at $3, that's $3,000. Yeah, but you got to get the 1,000 people. So it's going to always take more of these four things. It's always going to take you more time, money, energy, and effort. Always, 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 always. And if you're not willing to be knocked down, where you're going to have to pull up more time, more energy, more money, and more effort, it's not for you. Not just once in a while or one hurdle, but many hurdles. And then you have to make sure that the desire to succeed and to serve people or whatever your product or service is far, far greater than the pains and the struggles that you're going to go through. And if they're not, you will get knocked down and you won't come back up. Or if you come back up, you'll come back up so slow, you've lost so much momentum, you're like starting all over again.
Amazing. And when you talk about hustle and grind, I mean, you've gone through so many things growing up, in a cult, things that happen in your family, in your marriage, with your baby, with ups and downs in your business. What is a story that you can remember that was like, man, I feel like quitting today, but I kept going? What and I'm sure you've got lots of those.
I'll be very honest with you. I still have that sometimes to this day, because what happens is when something goes wrong, if you're not careful, you'll get an addiction to affliction. So you get a flood of all the pains of your past. I mean, think about it. When you go through some major frustration, even at work, subconsciously, what will happen is that your brain will start remembering all the pain and the crap. And now what was painful in the moment has multiplied itself into a volcano, because we're starting to relive that stuff subconsciously. But yeah, it's easy to give up, when your wife tells you she's been cheating on you with an employee that's 15 years old, then your wife is murdered. I mean, your father is murdered. He's shot point blank in his chest, drowned in his own blood. Yeah, it's intense, man. It's intense. But, I heard an interview with Charlie Munger, who passed away not too long ago, the partner of Warren Buffett. And sometimes the solution for the problems that we go through is this simple: soldier through it. Sometimes you just have to soldier through it. So when you see somebody who's running a marathon run and they hit that wall at about 15 miles, 20 miles, whatever it is, you don't see them smiling. They're just not smiling. Some of them crawl to the finish line. Crawl to the finish line.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you don't have that mentality, like I can watch somebody crawl to a finish line on a race and I can congratulate them. And I can look at that and say, wow, that's just amazing. Where other people would say, oh my gosh, how ridiculous is that? That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Granted, it's not good for your body, but the spirit that you have to have and the attitude that you have to do that is huge. And that's what I let people understand. If you feel that you have to be motivated all the time and you can't motivate yourself, I don't wake up listening to audios and CDs and music. I don't need all that stuff. I don't read books to motivate myself. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. I read 2 to 4 books a month. They're not to motivate myself. I don't need motivation because I already got it. What I'm looking for is I want people pay me to read. I learn. The more I learn, the more I learn, the more I can transfer the knowledge to people that are not willing to do it, that would rather just pay me to solve their problems.
Did I hear you say your wife cheated with an employee that is 15 years younger than you or 15 years old? Sorry, that stuck in my mind.
Years old.
Oh my gosh, that is. How does someone like you overcome something like that? Like just that's just so messed up.
Man, it is, and I mean, other than the desire to not lose, I've just got this. I tell you one thing I've been blessed with. I don't know where I get it or how I get it, or maybe it's just mindset, whatever. No matter how bad the day is, I always wake up with a clean slate. I don't say affirmations in the morning, and this is going to be. I'm blessed that I wake up with a clean slate. I put on my pants, I do my thing, and I just rock and roll. If I'm in mile 26 or mile 15 and I'm in tears, I'm still moving forward. It's like that TV show, Naked and Afraid. They give you a map. Here's the end. You're going to go through a lot of crap between now and then, but you know what the roadmap is. No matter how you feel, it's one foot in front of the other. And you have to have that mindset. And, if you don't hang around the right people, if you don't create the mindset, then you solve problems differently, right? You solve problems with drugs and alcohol, and you have no control, no temper. I mean, full of temper. It gets complicated after a while, but that's why I tell people this is a way of life. This is not just a one quick fix thing. This is a mindset that people want to adopt as a way of life.
Well, I know we're coming to a close and we're running out of time, and I want to respect our time together. And in the Sales Ninja Show podcast, we interview, amazing superstars and rising executives. And you're someone who is a seasoned veteran in sales, because you've been able to be blessed in your business, and from a very early age, 11, 15, be able to create your businesses and generate, at a very young age. What kind of sales advice or tips, that has worked really well for you and or your clients would you say to the people that are listening?
Silence is golden, and that's why so many are impoverished. If you're in sales, you probably talk too much. And when you talk too much, you can't get intel. People will assume you're wiser when you talk less. That is one bit of advice. And then learn how to close a friggin' sale. Quit being afraid to ask for the sale. Let's say somebody listens and they say, "Oh, this spend the day with Gary thing on the jet and go to the Bahamas. That sounds cool." If I happen to talk to them and they don't talk to somebody on my team and I talk to them, I'm not going to say, "Are you interested?" Who wouldn't be interested? I'm going to say, "Is this something that you would like to do now?" There's a difference. And here's the problem, I think, with people in sales. When you're in sales, if you're not careful, you have a hard time with a no. So what you'll do is you'll have false hope, hoping somebody will change their mind, as opposed to just, "You want to go out with me or not?" Right? You want this or not? And you would rather have the false hope of maybe they'll turn over and say yes later on, because you'd rather that than the pain of the no right now. Man, yes, no, tell me now, I gotta go. I want the no now or the yes now. I don't have time to play. That's a mindset. That didn't happen overnight. Even when I raised my prices, if I'm going to start charging somebody, like I have a $350,000 program, right? And you have to have a certain mindset to get to the point where you can say, when somebody asks you how much is your program, it's $350,000. Now I have other programs for $45,000, and my Jet Mastermind, we do that for under 10. It's a steal. But these are things that you have to learn to master, and if you don't, you will stay right there. It's the fight or flight thing. You don't want to feel the pain, And so I'll just stay comfortable and keep my prices where they're at because I don't think I'm worthy, or who in the world. Remember, you start buying this stuff. Who influences you more than anybody, Jay? You do.
Yeah.
There's nobody that knows you more than you. There's nobody that hangs around you more than you. And you're repeating whatever it is that you're repeating a gazillion times a day. And if we're not conscious of those things, they're going to be repeated no matter what. Whether they're good or bad, you may as well figure out how to make them good so you get good programming, because you're going to get out what you put in. And most people don't even know the difference between being positive and negative. The real answer to that is the outcome. That's the answer. What's the difference between a positive thought and a negative thought? Is the projected outcome in your mind. That's it. So saying that you can't and then turning it to you can will do no good. So it's not change your story, change your life, because you can change your story and not believe it. So let's say I can't, and I say I can't, and somebody says, well, Gary, say you can. Okay, so now I say I can. If I still believe I can't, then I can't. So it's not just change your story, it's believe your story, then that changes your life.
You said, and I think it was you, you love Jesus and cost a little.
Yeah.
That's a segue to close. Because I love Jesus, and I was a pastor, and before Christ, BC, I used to cuss like a sailor. And when I'm golfing or I stub my toe, all these old emotions and feeling and words come out and get the better of me. So you talk about reprogramming your mind and programming people's beliefs, which is really, really powerful. What does that love Jesus and cost a little mean, especially coming from someone who's come from a cult that broke out of it, and then that is very much into behavioral and positive mindset?
I don't remember when I know what you're talking to, a post I made, and it had to do something with the dating thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never cussed in public on camera or on stage.
Yeah.
And some people, some people are different, but I do know that no one's ever walked out an event before because somebody did not cuss. I mean, no one, I want my money back because John Doe on stage did not cuss. But there are people that will walk out and want a refund because there's too much cussing. But I'm not a hypocrite. So if I tell you, I don't believe in cussing on stage, it doesn't mean I don't cuss. A couple of my friends maybe have heard me, but it's not part of my my nature, in front of people. That's for sure.
And then the last question is, obviously you've built a reputation and a brand, and I think one of the things that I see many entrepreneurs really struggling with is to be able to attract a higher level of performance, athletes, celebrities. I mean, you kind of hit all those marks really well. What are some parting words that you would give to someone who is trying to build their brand or their persona or their business?
You just reminded me of a billionaire client I'm trying to reach out to.
There you go. And make that note and get that client.
Discipline, baby. Discipline. You have to position yourself, right? And everything you put out on social media is going to position yourself, whether you realize it or not. You're going to repel great people where you don't want to repel those people because you put the wrong thing, or you might attract the right people, or you might attract the wrong people. So, it's like somebody who gets married. You attract based on your self-esteem. So if I'm dating a woman and she wants to cuss me out, I'm sorry, that's just not acceptable. I mean, there are people that part of their day-to-day relationship is they just yell and raise their voice and cuss people out. I'm sorry, my self-esteem doesn't go there. Now, if I had no self-esteem, I just don't know any better. So I guess that's the way it's supposed to be. Same thing in sales. If you have a low self-esteem, you're going to have a hard time feeling that you're worth charging double than what you're charging now. And what you're charging now isn't good enough anyway, because you're not making it at the end of every month. And, you're constantly paycheck to paycheck type of thing. So if you would change the game a little bit, then you could change your income and change how you position yourself. So there's so many dynamics to this, but when the dynamics in the puzzle is put together, it's a game changer.
Awesome. Well, I actually took a lot of notes, and I'm definitely going to have to listen to the replay. And thank you so much for your time. I know that you're an entrepreneur that hustles and grinds and has put in the hard work to be able to invest in yourself as the greatest investment in ROI. And I'm really just honored to be able to interview you, to be able to experience the gift that you have in real time, and the way that, and I can see how you've impacted so many others in such a very short time, which would take people not even a year, probably a lifetime, where people have not gotten the breakthrough. So thank you again so much, Gary, for your time.
Jay, thank you. I appreciate it, man, very much.
Okay, so on behalf of everyone here, just thank you for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks again. Take care, everyone.
Massive.